Okay, yes, it appears we are live and up and running here in Dubai. Good evening, or good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. It's Phil Pendlebury here, and I hope you're having a super mega large day. And of course, if you are visiting us from the Middle East, Assalamu alaikum, mahaba, good to have you with us too. All right, I've got some notes down here, so forgive me glancing away. I just want to make sure I get this as accurate as possible. So today we're going to look at ADR. In fact, more specifically, the ADR Taker panel in Nuendo 12, which is linked to the marker panel and so on. But anyone who hasn't come across this before, in case you're new to this, you might find some things in this video that will be interesting. And of course, for those of you that are familiar with ADR, as I always say, there may be one or two little things new that you can pick up. So ADR, what is it? ADR stands for Automated Dialog Replacement. Sometimes people say Automated Dialog Recording, but the official term is replacement. Okay, so what's that all about? Anybody who's ever watched films, TV, movies, etc., you'll probably be aware that there's dubbing that goes on. There's all sorts of clever things that goes on, but there's a lot of things that you might not be aware of. In the industry, sometimes we have to replace dialogue under various circumstances. So dialogue meaning, you know, the character voices and so on and so forth. So we're not really talking sound design here. We're just talking more about the dialogue. So for example, different languages. Dubbing of different languages. So the film was recorded, if you watch Netflix, for example, if the film was recorded in Korean and then you want to play back with an English voice, well, obviously that has to be re-recorded by an English actor or voice actor. And actually, little sideline here, it's actually very clever the way that some of these people do it nowadays, because you'll find that the actor will actually not necessarily read the direct translation that you see in the subtitles. So they'll fit words, they'll change words around so that it matches closer, or as close as possible, to the language that, you know, the original language that's being used. So there might be, for example, in Korean, there might be a great big, you know, long phrase saying, I don't know, 감사합니다, saying thank you. And if you just say thank you, the actual voice, the mouth will still be moving. So, you know, you may change it to thank you very much, for example. Okay, so different languages dubbing. Anyway, sorry for the digression. It's live. A little bit excited because I'm testing a new machine today as well. So other reasons for ADR. So noisy backgrounds, which is something I'm going to show you when we get to the project. So if you've recorded your actor and there's noises, you might want to go back and record it more clearly. So if the actors are outside and there's traffic noise, or, you know, any other kind of noise, and the actual dialogue becomes almost unintelligible, then what we do is we get the actor into the studio and we go over the lines again and we record them. And it can take a long time. It's a long process, and some actors are extremely good at this. Glitches in the recorded sound, which of course happens to everyone, no matter how pro you are. You know, your battery will die or whatever. And no matter on the performance, at the end of the day, yep, you might have to just retake a couple of lines and try to match them with what was originally recorded. There are other things as well. I'm going to just quickly mention these. It's interesting. Changes of delivery. So the actor may have done a beautiful take and then he might have said something like, yeah, I don't really approve of that. And you want it to be more comedic. So just the tone of the voice could, you know, it could change. So that the actual lip movement is the same, but you just want to change the tone of his voice, make it more lighthearted, something like that. And even, and I know this is a fact, even with things like some of the Star Wars, the old Star Wars movies, apparently, if you're a fan of all that stuff, even as far as changing the storyline, which is, you know, always like us when we're doing our creative things, you're always improving. Things are never really finished, right? And the same goes for the movies. They might have finished all the shooting and then they decide they need to change the storyline. So the guy has said, oh, I'm sorry, he's dead, you know? And then they decide, actually, we didn't want that character to be dead. So what they would do is they will actually replace the actor's line with, oh, he's not actually dead. And if the lips are moving and it doesn't sync up, then they'll cut to a shot away from him and, you know, replace that line. So you can change, you can get the idea. You can change the whole storyline, you know, quite severely, to be honest. So that's basics. If there's any more, maybe you want to add them down in the comments. By the way, hello, thanks for joining us, those of you that are here. And of course, hey Terry, my moderator, he'll keep you updated in chats while we're going on. Let's see, yeah, so this happens in post-production a lot more, sorry, itchy nose, than many people realize. So down to Nuendo specifically. The ADR section of Nuendo's 12's marker window, which is what I was talking about earlier, allows you to perform ADR and language dubbing tasks, all right? So Nuendo provides ADR-specific transport functions, ADR statuses, which use position and cycle markers to define start and end points. I'm going to show you all that. And you can choose from different ADR modes. So this will be automatic and free run to suit your workflow. We're going to basically work on automatic today, but I will show you the other stuff as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at a practical example of how to do some basic ADR. And really here, I'm not going to go into creative process too much. What my intention here is to look at the ADR panel and some of its features and some of the things that you might not have looked at because they look a little bit intimidating, and some of the things that you might, you know, see and realize that, wow, that is extremely useful. And it's my catchphrase, isn't it? Extremely useful. And there's a lot of things in Nuendo 12's ADR delivery that other applications just simply can't do. And it's one of those things now where Nuendo is becoming higher and higher in the standard of the industry, which is great to see. So I think that's our introduction just about done. I've got the project here all loaded up and ready. Let's just see, make sure. Yeah, you've got it there in the bottom of the screen. So I'm going to switch over to that and let's go through and see what we can do. Let's get rid of that one. And then we'll have a little, yeah, okay, let's go back there and there, yeah. So once we've kind of finished delving through stuff, then we'll have a little fiddle about with the actual project itself, and then we'll get to the summary at the end. I'm going to keep this as short as possible today. And if you do have any questions or any comments, like I said before, please feel free. Just type them away. If I'm busy talking and reading notes, don't worry, because my mate Terry's here and he will reply. He'll try to shout things or scribble things down for me. And he'll do all that moderation. The only thing he won't do is make me a cup of tea. Anyway, right, let's move on. Camera closed. And we're into the project, which I'm going to show you a little bit before we continue. Okay, so actually, just a quick reminder, headphones are going on here. And so let's get the headphones on. And I'm going to, yeah, make sure everything's set up. Okay, all good. Sorry, I've got such an itchy nose. I don't know why that. Oh, does anybody else find that when you're streaming or recording that you get an itchy nose? I don't know. It's one of those things. Right, camera is definitely off now, and we're moving in to the project. Let's go. So I've got this test project up, and actually no video in this, and it's a cut down version of a project I did, and I've used this project a few times. As we always say about these things, it's difficult because you have to find stuff that you know, you can use basically live on YouTube. So I've got this, it's my own project, and we can mess around and do what we want with it. And in this, there's a couple of kind of nice examples of things where the ADR Taker can help. So like I said, we've got no video, but that's where the script would be showing, and that's where the actor would be looking at if that's projected into another room, for example. I'm not going to zoom in just yet, but don't worry. I know it all looks a bit tiny. We're in 4K. But once we get going, I will indeed start to zoom in and out and give you some more info. Right. So the first thing, let's just have a quick listen to this mess. It's just basically me and a quick telephone call, some background noise, which were geese, and let's just have a quick listen to this very quickly. We're not going to listen to it all after this, but for the sake of the first run, let's just have a quick run. I'll just check my levels as well while we're doing it.
Okay, I think we should leave that there. I had no idea they were in here. In fact, if you don't mind, I'm just going to have a quick word with Tracy. Just give me 1 minute. Hello, Tracy? Please can you take a note not to allow any bludgeoning or killing of gardeners in future, especially using death rays, laser beams or lightsabers. Thanks.
Now, I found that quite amusing with that comedy voice,
Hello?
that little thing, you know, you heard it a lot back in the day when people were on the phone. It's like a comedy voice. But in this example, what we're going to do is we're going to say that the director, which is me, decided that he didn't like that random comedy voice.
Hello?
Let's just solo that up. And he actually wanted it to be replaced by somebody, you know, actually reading the lines so that we know what was being said. So that's, you know, that's that part, which we'll get to in a minute. I have actually already done it because it's very difficult to try and record something live and obviously have the delivery and all that stuff. But I'm still going to show you how it all works, so you'll get a perfect understanding of that. The other thing is I put this background on because this is just geese. Right, so I put that on as well to give an idea of how to deal with things like noise. We're not going to eliminate. Should just point out we're not looking here at how to eliminate the noise. All right, there's other tools to do that, and in fact, I've got videos on them. So please feel free to check them out. There's some very, very neat tools for eliminating ambience and background noise, but we're not talking about that. The reason that is there is because it is literally part of a project. So this isn't recorded with the microphone. I'm not pretending that this was recorded while the actor was delivering his piece. This is sound design. But the nice thing is that there's a way with the ADR Taker to kind of deal with things like that so it doesn't get in the way when people are delivering. Anyway, enough about that. We'll get back to it when I get to that section of the video. So, all right, let's move on. So the first thing we need to do in order to start working with the ADR Taker, let's just bring it up. Control M for the markers window. And you'll see at the bottom we have the marker editor. We'll keep that open. And then we have ADR at the bottom. The first thing we need to do, imagine you didn't have any of this stuff here, all right? So it's a blank project, you've just pulled it all in. And how do we get the actual dialogue? Let's move this video up here. I'm gonna try and keep it there now, so that when we zoom in and out, it's all in the right place. How do we get the actual dialogue into the ADR Taker, or into the markers window? So you can import from an XML file, which gives you loads of info. And some of you pro guys will already have done this, I'm sure, many times. XML file, which will contain lots and lots of information, including the script, the take number, the camera used, which track it needs to be recorded on, lots of information. But in our case, what we're going to do is do it manually, seeing as it's a short script, all right? So you can look up here. Let's try and zoom in, and you can see that what I've got is a marker for each separate little piece. Try and zoom in on that. Each separate little piece of dialogue. So yeah, let's just move that up. So you can see here the dialogue, and there's a marker for it. So a nice feature of Nuendo 12 is that we can do that now automatically. If I can remember the feature, the key command, or should I say the menu item, all we have to do is select the individual voices, and we go to project, and we go to create markers from selected events. And I've got more detail on this in another video, so we're not going to go into huge detail on it. But I like to use cycle markers. You can also use positions, which is just a single marker at one end. But I like to use the cycles because it kind of clearly delineates, you know, both sides of the dialogue. You can combine adjacent events if you like, so put them all into one. Or so, for example, if these two were next to each other, I don't know if you can see that. Let's try and just zoom out a little bit. These two were next to each other. You can then, you know, combine them into one cycle. Then there is lots of ways of actually naming the markers, and there's too much here to go through in one. Oh, and then all we would simply do is click Add Markers. And what you end up with is what we've got here, which is the character dialogue parts being delineated by markers, even if they overlap slightly, which some of them do. And you can then adjust them, you know, to your preferences. So if you wanted to just drag a little bit with, let's make sure we got snap off. Yeah, you can kind of move things around a little bit. This one, yeah, that's all fine. So, okay, let's go back to the actual marker window and have a look at some of the settings on that. Right. So here are our markers. The description, which was named, you know, automatically. We've got the character. Don't forget, you can basically double click and edit any of these if it wasn't already set for various reasons. We've got the actor's name, which of course is all me. The target track we'll get to in a minute. And in fact, we need to remove that little click there because that was from the test I did earlier on. So the bits that are important are these phone voice bits in this particular case. And there's only a little bit of it. So we've got the phone voice number 1. And basically, we have down at the bottom here, or you can show it in a column, but this is how I like to have set. This is kind of my default. We've got the dialogue. You can drop down, you can choose any of these things, but what we've done is we've got the dialogue. So we enter our little dialogue from the script there. Hello, yes, this is Tracy. And then there's Phil's part, which is a lot of dialogue. Wouldn't usually have this much in one take, actually. But anyway, we're not doing Phil, we're doing the phone voice. Number 4 is a simple yes, which we could probably combine with another one. And number 5, yes, I'll take care of that. Thank you, bye. So let's move into it. So first of all, I can easily select, you can see that if we just zoom out, you can see that the cursor, in fact, let's expand this out a little bit. There we are. I'm trying to keep everything nice and central. So you can see that once we've got everything set up how we like it, and have an experiment with some of these if you're not sure, you know, what some of them do. Don't forget, again, I think what we do is we go through the settings in a second. But just to quickly show that we can easily skip through the different dialogue parts. Now that we've done that basic setup, and of course that is relying on the fact that we've got this little button here ticked, cycle follows when locating markers. So if we turn that off, you're not going to get that. You're just going to get the playhead moving, or the cursor. All right, but I like to keep that in. And sync selection will obviously synchronize the selection of the window and the markers itself. So let's have a look at the marker window or the ADR Taker setup. We've got a ton of functions here, which I don't think we're going to use. You can, yeah, this one is very useful to reassign the marker IDs. So let's say we've added something in the middle here somewhere, and then we want to just get everything nice and organized. We can use that function, and it will kind of renumber the markers so that they're all in an order. So you can use this. And of course, the other thing we can do, which I didn't mention earlier, is we can actually sort by any of these columns. You can see there, look. Obviously, this is where that comes in handy, because we're sorting now by the ID, or we're sorting by description or character or so on. Let's go back to ID. And the other nice thing, again, which I've mentioned before, is we now have the ability to filter. So I don't want to sort by character, I want to sort by ID. But if we, yeah, of course, no, we have to, yeah, there we go. We have to use the little drop down here, and you can see that these are the two characters, fill and phone voice. And if I deselect that, we're now only going to see the bits that we actually need to see, which is the phone voice, although we can still sort by any of the other columns. Right. So I think we'll leave it like that, because we're not interested in my voice. We're just interested in the phone voice. So let's have a look at the setup. Here, down at the bottom, you'll see the ADR Setup little cogwheel. And we'll click that. We've got 3 tabs. And just have a quick drink. Starting at the top, we've got the pre-roll and post-roll. So this is what you hear before and after we start the actual ADR. The track assignment is quite important. So the guide, here we've got the phone voice, which is Tracy's old, the garbled thing that I mentioned earlier. The M&E, which is music and effects, and this is where this duck geese background comes in, which we'll assign to that track. You just drop down and you choose your effects or groups. And the actual mic signal, which is fill, Tracy, record, which I've got a track already set up for that. Record enable the target track. This is interesting, and I've actually got this set so that we can use that today. You might not want to worry about it. You might want to manually record enable your tracks, but in this case, I'm going to show you how this works because it's quite clever. And then the naming scheme, which is for the recorded file. So that's the general setup. In the video setup, we have some options to how the video itself appears. Again, I have my preferences to this, but you can change them, play around. I like the primary swipe, which is 2 lines that come in from the side, but you can also have a counter. And I like to swipe to the center. Again, always show dialogue. Yes, I like to have that on, and show the dialogue during the ADR. Take length. Yep, like it. ADR status indicator. So this is where let's actually have a quick look at what this means. So if we close that for a second, and let's just play and zoom out so you can see the video.
Word with Tracy. Just give me 1 minute.
All right, so did you notice
Word with Tracy.
little green here?
Hello?
And you can see that the line for that part is there, ready. And when the lines move across,
Word with Tracy. Just give me 1 minute. Hello?
you get the timer going across, and you also get the two, which I mentioned just now, you get the two lines coming in to show you, right, to be ready. Now, there's a couple of other things probably noticed there while I was running that.
Word with Tracy. Just give me 1 minute.
That the original voice was still there, fine, but the background noise was still there as well. Incidentally, yeah, the green, I think I just mentioned.
Just give me 1 minute.
If we're going to record, you'll see that that turns red, that little green dot in the top.
Tracy. Just give me.
And if we are just rehearsing,
Word with Tracy.
you'll see it's kind of an orange color. Right. So that's the basic setups of the general and video. The next thing, which is really quite neat, is the switchboard. Now, this looks really intimidating, but it's nowhere near as bad as you might think it is, just a load of checkboxes. So just going to take a look at that very quickly. You can see that basically we've got three sections: rehearse, record, and review, right? Which is what we've just done. We didn't do record. So rehearse when we press the rehearse button, record when we press the record button, review when we press the play or review button. And these little tick boxes are going to decide what is being audible. So this is where we were saying earlier on about the geese noise in the background. That's obviously going to really get in the way when the actor's trying to record. But we might want to hear it automatically to find out, what his dialogue sounds like with that. So what we can do is change some settings on here, which I'll show you in a second. So that's the switchboard, and of course there's the cue tracks here as well. We can change the settings for all the different cue tracks. In this case, obviously, because we're live, I've just got everything going up one channel. So that's the basic ADR setup. Don't forget, there are a plethora of columns that you can show with various bits of information. So what we do next, I want to show you how the automatic, I mentioned when we were here, record, enable, target track. So I want to show you just quickly how to set that up. And like I said, don't panic. We're just going through these, we're skimming the surface, and then what I'm going to do, actually it'll be short at the end, but what I'm going to do is make a summary and show you how it all kind of integrates together. So all those different settings that we've taken a look at now, we'll put them into practical use. So let's move on. Right, so how do we use this record enable automatic setting? You might have found that if you've imported an XML, it'll already be set, all this stuff. But what we basically have to do is set up the target track. So, for example, let's try and zoom out. Actually, yeah, let's move over here. And now you can see, I can zoom over there and you can see everything together. In fact, yeah. All right. So we've got 4 tracks. At the top of voices, we've got my original dialogue, which is that one.
If you don't mind, I'm just going.
We've got the phone voice, which is that one. We've got the re-recorded one, which I'm going to use just pretending that we're actually recording, so you're not going to hear that. And then we've got the target track, which is where we want to record. and that's got the monitor enabled. So basically, you count down from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we put target track as number 4. It can only be numeric. It's a shame. It would be nice to be able to just put the name of the track in and use it wherever. But it has to be numeric, so you have to count down, and that's how that works. And again, we'll show you that in action in a second. And of course, you need to make sure, once you've done that, I like to have this little column record done, and you'll see that in a second as well. And that's in order to make sure that record enable target track works. And don't forget, if you imported this attribute with your take list, which many of you guys with bigger studios probably will have, or with studios that have received an XML, then it could be shown automatically. Right, so let's go back. We'll bring this back over here. Around there, yeah. And let's move on. So eliminating the music and effects while rehearsing and recording. That one we've already touched on. So there's our geese track. Let's again just have a quick listen to some background noise with geese.
Here. In fact, if you don't mind, I'm just going to have a quick word with Tracy. Just give me...
All right. So as I mentioned earlier, quite simple. We are going to go to ADR Setup. We're going to go to the signal switchboard. And what we're going to do is we're going to... that because... oh, yeah, I did mention it earlier, I think, but just in case not. Music and effects, we've assigned it to... the geese are routed to a group called effects, and we've assigned that as a music and effects channel there. However, if you didn't, there's others as well. You can use other audio as well. So you can see here we've got the guide, music and effects, mic, signal, and other audio. So for review, we want to hear everything. While we're recording, we do not want to hear the music and effects, and in fact we don't want to hear other audio either, but we want to hear the mic signal. Pre-take and post for record, we'll leave it off completely, and for rehearse we'll also take those off. So now you'll see when we get to actually doing the job, which is the very last icing on the cake. As you can see, most of this is set up so far.
Have a quick word with Tracy.
While we're playing.
Hello, Tracy? Please.
So that's our playback, right? But if we do a rehearsal now, you can see that we don't hear the annoying background noise. Now, you might be saying, well, that's simple enough. I could just mute the track. But like I said, the point there is, all right, you know, yeah, you could just mute the track, but isn't it nice that while he's recording, everything's focused and clean, and then when you're listening back, you get it with all the effects and music or whatever might happen to be routed to that group. So it's super handy. Okay. So we're nearly there, to be honest. What we need to do is just kind of do the job. But just before we do move on, quickly need to just explain free run mode. So automatic mode with free run deactivated. So this is activated, this is deactivated. And if we have it activated, you get a little bit more flexibility. You can, if you click rehearse, the left locator is set to the project cursor position, and the playback starts from there. And if pre-roll is enabled, then playback starts with the pre-roll value that you defined in the ADR setup window. We'll go back to automatic, and in automatic mode, if you click on rehearse, the locator range corresponds to the position and length of the selected markers. Record, project cursor jumps to the start, and review, the project cursor jumps to the start of the pre-roll, and playback starts. So It's basically about having a little bit more flexibility to move around, but I personally prefer to leave it in automatic mode. All right. So shall we just go ahead and actually do the job and show some practical examples? I think it's probably better to do that right now. We're already into quite a lot of time. So let's just concentrate on one line. I mean, I set this up to do quite a few bits, but let's just concentrate on the first line. So have a quick listen to what we've got. Make sure you can see the video. So this would be projected to the actor. And like I said, if it was a movie, then you'd be seeing the actual movie footage here. You could even actually have it zoomed in so that you can see the character's face much more clearly if that's how he wants it. So I can see here that the line I need to record is going to be, hello, yes, this is Tracy. So let's have a quick listen to how that's going to fit in.
Word with Tracy. Just give me 1 minute. Hello, Tracy?
So there you go. You saw very clearly there the two lines pulled in. Like I said, it's a bit tricky when it's just dialogue, but two lines counted you in kind of thing, give you a nice visual cue. And we saw green at the top. And while we're at it, you can also still hear the duck noises, right? So one more time, let's just cue that up.
Word with Tracy. Just give me 1 minute. Hello, Tracy?
So one more time, and this time we'll do a rehearsal. Here we go. And this time you should not hear the background noise and the duck. All right. And the other thing you'll notice, if we just quickly move over here, in fact, what we'll do is we'll move that over again so that you can see. I've still got that panel open. Watch what happens when I press rehearse. Watch what happens to the Tracy record channel, because this is the track that we want to record the dialogue on. So here we go. As soon as I press rehearse, you'll see we're in listen mode. And you'll see that also the record enable lit up and it turned itself off. Right, back over here. Not only that, is we also saw the rehearse there, the little orange light, which is super handy, so the actor knows exactly what's going on, if you want him to know. As some of you will know, in some cases, you might actually not want the guy to know whether you're going for a take. I find some, especially with some, excuse me, quick drink, slightly less experienced, should we say, people maybe be a little bit nervous. We all get nervous. And if you just say, well, let's just rehearse a few times. We're not recording it. You might actually find that you get a good delivery. And as soon as you press that record button and say, right, we're going for a take, then everything changes. And it's funny how that happens. It happens with vocalists as well. Well, it happens with all performers, doesn't it? As soon as you press that record button, some people just go to pieces. And I've found over the years that definitely I just pretend sometimes. I just say, look, let's just have a few run-throughs and I'll take them all. And then, you know, are we going to record yet? Actually, no need. It's all done. What? You know, so you might want to turn that off. That's the point I'm getting to. The little display light there, which, if I can remember where it is, I think it's up here somewhere. Yeah, ADR status, I believe it's that one. So if we didn't want them to know.
Word with Tracy. Just give me 1 minute.
there you'll see that there was no little green light there, and the actor has no clue whether we're recording, rehearsing, or whatever, unless you tell them. So, but I'll leave it on because I want you guys to see it. Right, camera back off. So, like I said earlier, ignore this. Let's just zoom out a little bit. Ignore this pink colored track here because that is my kind of rough take, if you like. And because it would be a bit tricky to set up the mic and do this in real time, I just thought, well, look, we'll just show how it works. So here's the line one more time. Let's zoom out so that we can see this kind of whole area. So one more rehearsal.
Word with Tracy. Just give me 1 minute.
Hello, yes.
Hello, Tracy? Please.
Let's do it one more time.
Word with Tracy. Just give me 1 minute. Hello,
Yep.
Tracy?
So a rehearsal. Hello, yes, this is Tracy.
Please.
So now let's go for the actual recording. And obviously I'm not going to speak because I've already got it here, but let's just go for it. Right. And you can see that track was automatically recorded, and the record done checkbox has become ticked. Now, imagine if we had hundreds of takes to do. Really useful to have a little checkbox to say, yeah, that's done. If we decide, yeah, we recorded that, we didn't like it, as I did earlier on, you just literally uncheck it, delete. And let's go for it one more time. It should be reset now. Hello, yes, this is Tracy, and we're done. Although, yeah, right. So this time we'll go for the record. Let's do it. Hello, yes, this is Tracy. And there you can see the resulting WAV file. So what we do now, we just undo and one more time, just show, and just want to highlight a couple of things. First of all, you'll have noticed the red marker showing recording. You'll notice the lines coming in, getting the actor ready to deliver the line. And you'll notice that the difference between playing it back,
Just give me 1 minute.
and the difference between rehearsing and recording is we don't have this ambience and the duck noises. So let's go one more time. Record. Hello, yes, this is Tracy. And we've got it. And there you can see everything is automatically being trimmed to the right size. The record button has gone off, by the way, in case you can't see that. And also we've got a nice tick on record done. So now let's imagine that that's done. And I will continue. So now what we can do, we've finished everything. We can get rid of the ADR marker, but I'm actually going to leave it there because the tracks are so tiny, we can still watch everything while it's going on. So it's all finished. There's the phone voice, which we now don't need anymore. We've got my performance, which is, sorry, I need to turn, yeah.
Hello, yes, this is Tracy.
So that was me saying, oh yeah, blah, 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 pretending to be a lady, which obviously doesn't sound right. But we've got the basics there. We've got my replacement of that dialogue. And what we did here was we showed how we can kind of route things, disable background noise or disable other things while we're doing the taking and while we're doing the rehearsing. But then when we play it back, it's all still there. And we also showed how to set up the automatic record feature, which I find really useful. All right, we're all done. So we can close this down now and we can just zoom in on this particular part. We can get rid of the video as well. And what we can do now, let's just get this nice and central. What we can do now is just have a quick listen to the end result. So we'll get rid of the dummy recorded file I made, turn the monitor off, drag my original voice thing down, mute off that one, and let's have a quick listen to that.
Hello, yes, this is Tracy.
Hello?
All right,
Hello, yes, this is Tracy.
Hello?
there we go. So all we need to do now is bring up our ever faithful voice designer, and let's just get that sounding a little bit more realistic, even though my performance wasn't very good on that. So we'll enable voice design. Oh, actually, the first thing we can do is first thing we do is just make it a little bit of a telephone kind of style EQ. That should be it. Let's try that.
Hello, yes, this is Tracy.
Hello?
Yep, it's very quiet. And then we'll bring in the voice designer. And we'll just loop around that a little bit.
Hello, yes, this is Tracy. 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 Hello, yes, this is Tracy.
And I think that'll do. We don't want any dry signal. We don't want any spatial or any other effects. Just wanted to raise the pitch of the voice to make it sound a little bit more feminine. And of course, what we'd have ended up doing would have been to record these other parts as well. And that would be then the end result. And what you should end up with would be something like this.
Okay, I think we should leave that there. I had no idea they were in here. In fact, if you don't mind, I'm just going to have a quick word with Tracy. Just give me 1 minute.
Hello, yes, this is Tracy.
Hello, Tracy?
Yes.
Please can you take a note not to allow any bludgeoning or killing of gardeners in future, especially using death rays, laser beams or lightsabers. Thanks.
Yes, I'll take care of that. Thank you. Bye.
And what I'm hoping to do is a little bit later on, we'll actually get some film done of an actual session in place, instead of me just kind of mocking things up. So what did we learn from this? A few really powerful things. The switchboard is very intimidating to look at. And even, I'm not going to name any names, but even some people I know that have big places say, oh, I never touch the switchboard. I just do it all manually. And I get it. I get that. It's nice to also do things manually. So this isn't a diss, but when you get things set up automatically, when you spend that extra little bit of time and things get done automatically, it saves you time in the long run, right? It's the same thing with the Project Logical Editor that we looked at last time, or a couple of videos ago. Takes time to program those things, but once they're done, then you never have to do them again. So yeah, the signal switchboard, intimidating, but not as bad as you might think. Obviously, the video setup, well, we didn't demonstrate all the individuals, but most of them are obvious. And now that you know that they're there, then you can have a play about yourself before your session starts. Allow yourself an hour, And of course, the basic setup of pre-roll, post-roll, well, that's obvious. The assigning of the ADR track. I had a question the other day, what does M&E mean? And again, actually there's loads of room on this dialogue. Why didn't they just write music and effects? Anyway, whatever. Yeah, it is definitely time for the end. My throat's getting sore again. Thanks ever so much for being with us. Thanks, Terry, for taking care. If you've got any questions, the usual routine. What I'll be doing, I have to wait for the live stream to finish processing. So it takes a day or so. And then subtitles be there and all the chapter markers once we've chopped off the 10-minute wait at the beginning and all that. So it'll be fully markered, not ADR, just normal markers on YouTube. So if there's any questions, this is what I really like. If people can send questions through either via YouTube or via my Discord, and let's have a chat, and we'll see if there's anything that I missed. I'm sure there is. Livestream IQ always drops. And if there isn't, if you've enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up and a like. You know the routine. Thanks very much, folks. I will see you very soon. Take care. Super mega large.